Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Here's your host, Mary Gaida.
Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Our guest today is Jessica Starks. Jessica is an exit strategist for Transworld Business Advisors and Exit Factor of Grand Rapids, Lansing. Thank you so much for joining us on 517 In Your Business.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So tell me more about your business and how you're helping business owners.
Yeah, so we've been helping business owners transition their business to third parties, family members, employees for about 10 years here locally. And then nationwide, we've been in business for over 40 years. So I locally own our franchise here in the Grand Rapids, Lansing area. And we have a team of people helping business owners find their buyer. And about a year and a half ago, we also invested in a company called Exit Factor, and Exit Factor helps businesses prepare for the sale of their business. So making it less owner dependent, more profitable, more valuable when the time comes to sell.
So when a business owner thinks about exiting their business, what questions are you seeing come up from them?
Yeah, so business owners, they may have never heard of a business broker before. They may have thought the only option they had was to close the doors, and that is completely not true. But some other questions we have is if I don't have a family member or an employee in my business, then they are unsure how they're going to transition or who they're going to transition it to. So who is going to buy my business is a huge question that they have. Where is these buyers going to get funding to afford my business? What's my new identity going to be when I go to sell my business? And that identity is key because if you're going to sell your business or when you sell your business, you need to know what's coming afterwards because it could be pretty scary. And then really most importantly, what is my business worth? Where do I even start to find out that value of my business? So those are some key questions that business owners have. And sometimes they don't even know the questions that they have, but through our conversations with them, we can help fill in some blanks for them.
So it's probably important for them to establish a relationship with you because doesn't their business worth change over the years? So if their exit strategy might be 10 years away, there are going to be changes and ebbs and flows in markets and all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So business value, like you said, changes from year to year. Let's say a business owner is getting burnt out and their business is going uphill, and we talk about that peak and then going down to the valley. We want to capture a business when things are going well. And sometimes that's the hardest time for business owners to sell their business. But as soon as they let off the gas pedal and things kind of start going over that curve and down towards the valley, business buyers are actually going to be more concerned when they go to buy that business. So we always say, do not necessarily time the sale of your business because life happens. COVID happened, a recession might happen. You just never know what could happen. That's really not in our control. So it comes down to what is the life cycle that you want to be in your business, and always to be prepared to sell and know the value of your business.
What does the process look like when you're thinking of exiting your business?
Yes, definitely start building a relationship with a business broker, exit strategist. It looks like a team of advisors around you, such as your accountant, your CPA. But really, what is the business worth? I mean, that's really the first step in the process, because then your financial advisor can tie that back into your portfolio and what it looks like if you're in the retirement phase of life. From there, we confidentially market your business for sale. So if you're ready to go to market, we'll go to market. But if you have time on your side, we want to look to improve the value of your business so we can reach even more financial goals that you may have. And then we work, again, through vetting buyers. We work with negotiating deals, being the quarterback of the transaction to get the deal to close. We're with you every step of the way.
So it sounds like this should be part of your business plan. When you're first starting your business, you build that exit strategy, somehow at least start the relationship.
Yeah, they always say start with the end in mind. I know it's hard when you're starting a business, but at least knowing you're going to exit the business. I mean, the facts are you're going to either exit on top or you're going to exit because unfortunately something bad has happened. So everybody that owns a business is going to exit their business. So having options is key, having a plan, and why not run your business the best you can run it while you own it? Less hours in the business, you're working on it, not in it. more profitability. You don't work for free, so let's make sure your business is profitable for you. And then it all leads to, when you're ready to sell, having a more valuable business to sell.
What do you think, Jessica, the most common mistakes are that a business owner makes when it's time to exit their business?
Yeah, so having an unrealistic value of their business is a mistake. I mean, that could be too high, too low. A lot of business owners think their business is worth the real estate they have, the equipment they have, the inventory, when in fact they actually have goodwill as well, which is the customers, the employees, the cash flow that the business is generating. So really knowing what your business is worth is so important as part of the process. Another common mistake business owner makes is trying to sell their business for sale by owner. That is because they're lacking confidentiality. With confidentiality, we don't want the business exposed. We don't want their employees knowing that they're going to sell. We don't want the customers knowing, because they can get scared and then they leave the business. And then what's left in the business? The goodwill starts to disappear because it takes the employees, it takes the customers to generate the cash flow. So really having a team of advisors, including a business broker, is key to finding the marketplace for your business, to find that one right buyer that's going to transition your business for you. So those are two common mistakes we see business owners make.
What would a business owner need to do to prepare then when it's time to exit their business and put their business for sale?
I think having an introduction call with us, really understanding what buyers are looking for, because when a business owner looks to start a business, they kind of have their own blinders on. They're trying to make it work. They're trying to navigate everything within their business and aren't really seeing the high level aspects of what buyers look for in a good business. We want your business to stand apart from another competitor in the marketplace looking to sell. So it's really important that you prepare your business in the light of a buyer. So again, is the business owner dependent? Is it profitable, or are you writing off a lot of expenses? In that regards, I like to share an example. If you're hiding, let's say $100,000 of revenue or expenses, then you're losing a 2, 3, 5, 10 times multiple of that earnings when it comes to sell. But if you're hiding that money just for tax purposes, let's say you're at a 30% tax bracket, you're saving $30,000 versus that same 100,000 when you go to sell could be worth 200, 300, wow, 500, $1 million, depending on what your multiplier is. It's really important that you report all of your income, clean up your expenses so a buyer can see the best light of your business.
So, you talked about businesses sort of maybe finding a buyer within the family. How do you find buyers for businesses? And should they always start with family and sort of a succession plan?
Yeah, so finding buyers within your family, sometimes that's good. And sometimes it's so rewarding to have that legacy carry on, but it may not be the best decision for your family, for the kids, for the business as a whole. And so you don't want to force a family sale. But again, kudos to anybody who can. I think that's very exciting for those families and that business. But there are other options. So you have employees that could potentially buy your business. We also have a marketplace of buyers. So we have individual buyers, corporate, strategic, PE groups that are looking to buy businesses. So there's so much out there. We have buyers that are looking for good businesses to buy all the time, and those are flying off the marketplace.
We talked about maybe putting your exit strategy within your business plan, but for those who haven't and they're maybe midway through owning a business, when should they engage an exit strategist?
Today. It's never too soon to have a conversation. I mean, there's no obligations, and all you can do is learn from the experience. And sometimes the questions we ask back get your mind thinking, what do you really want out of life? When is that time going to look good? And again, it's never too early to engage to have a better business that you run today so it sells tomorrow for all the goals that you've had.
So you say it's never too early, but is it ever too late? There are things like COVID, there are illnesses, financial circumstances change.
Right. So we say if a business wants to sell tomorrow or even within the year, we need to go to market and get them on, get them out there, get their business on the marketplace, finding their buyer, going through that whole process, because on average, it takes 8 months to sell a business. We have sellers come to us for various reasons when they only have up to a year to sell the business, or they want to sell it tomorrow. But if you have 3, 5, 10 years on your side to plan this process and understand and make it a better business so you can increase that value. I mean, we've increased values by hundreds of thousands of dollars. It just makes good sense to be able to pre-plan and make that business better for the future.
You mentioned earlier that it can be hard to exit your business, especially at a time when it's doing well, but you want to because that will help the value. But do you have advice for business owners on navigating sort of the emotional side of letting go of something they've worked so hard to build?
Right. I mean, that identity of a business owner in their business is huge. Selling at a peak is key versus selling at a valley. And again, a buyer is going to notice that right away when they're looking at year over year numbers. So it's a very emotional process when a seller wants to sell their business. You know, it could be their identity, or what am I going to do after I sell? So just having those deep conversation and what is the motivating factor for someone to sell their business is key. And we really need to uncover that through our process. But again, we want you to get the best reward out of your business. We don't want to see you burn out. We, of course, don't want to see an illness or disability, but recognizing that these things can happen is the best thing to be realistic about, and then look forward to the future.
So, what advice would you give an owner to what they should do after they sell their business?
Right. It's kind of taking that current identity that you feel and what are you going to create as a new identity? Are you going to volunteer? Are you going to help transition the business? I mean, transitioning a business is key in selling a business. So that really needs to be part of your timeline as well. It may take on average 8 months to sell your business, but what does that transition time look like? It could be a year in order to transition that business. So just pre-planning and having a purpose that you can make out of your future life is going to be key. And we even have business owners who are in their 40s or early 50s that are like, I'm done with this challenge. I'm done with this business. I'm ready for a new challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that new challenge? What's that new opportunity that's going to really fuel their fire? Those are exciting times for those sellers as well.
Anything else you'd like our listeners to know, Jessica?
We are here. We want you to know there's a business broker community out there. We are here because we want to see businesses continue on. We want to see the employees continue to be employed, the customers to be serviced, and then the wealth that comes from what you've created as a business owner flows through the communities that you live in, that your family is part of. So selling a business, exploring that opportunity is just such a great factor to our economy. And we're going to see a lot of that happen over the coming years. It's never too early to have a conversation and start building that relationship.
I have learned so much today. It's a lot like a 401k, right? Sometimes people didn't know what they could do early on. And they start a little late, but it's better late than never. So really, it's important to talk to you early in the plan. But if not, that's okay too. You're here to help every business form their exit strategy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to talking to you again.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Get to know local businesses better by reading 517 Business Magazine. Get your subscription at 517mag.com/subscribe.